Hello and welcome to a new video. I'm in Woodstown here on the greenway between Waterford and Kilmeaden, and in case you didn't know, this is a Viking settlement that was discovered recently when they built the motorway, and it is a long fort. And if you've ever seen any reconstructions of Viking settlements, it is very likely that they had thatched roofs. So right next to the archaeological site there is a reed bed, which is a wetland where reeds grow, and it stands to reason that the Vikings in Woodstown also had their roofs thatched because the reed is growing right next to it. So this video is going to be about how to map reed beds, because that is very interesting in relation to thatched buildings and just in relation to biodiversity, no matter where you're coming from, what your angle is. And in case you didn't know, OpenStreetMap really is a misnomer, because it's not at all just about streets. There's so much more that we can map on OpenStreetMap. And this is really the strength of OpenStreetMap, in my opinion, that you can show everything. You can show biodiversity, you can show accessibility, heritage, as well as using it for navigation. So this is going to be about reed beds, and on my way along the greenway I had mapped a couple of reed beds which I had surveyed, and I didn't use the note function this time because I didn't want to clutter the greenway with red notes, and instead I used Osmond and tracked my way and added waypoints along the way, and I'll show you what that looks like when I open the GPS track. I've gone to GPS traces on openstreetmap.org and to my traces, and it's this one here called Kilmeaden, and I click on edit map. And that opens the editor, and I used a different satellite imagery before because I was mapping something in Scotland. And you can see already, hopefully, maybe, there's a dot here that says reed beds, and also here, and also here. So there are several places where it says it. So this is the archaeological site, Woodstown. I'm going to start there. The tags are natural wetland and then wetland reed bed. So you can look that up on the wiki if you want to. And this is what I'm going to use. And if you use ID, you can just type in reed bed and it'll just add the rest of it. And this is the river, what's it called again? Or stream? With no name. But I have a picture where I'm standing on this bridge here, and I took a picture of the reed beds here. So I'm just gonna add a few. So I'm using the area tool, and I'm just drawing along here. And then click the escape key. So this area is now highlighted. If for some reason you don't have it highlighted, you just click on it like this to highlight it again. And then you can type in the search reed bed. And if you look here, it's spelled in two different words, two separate words, but the actual tag is in one word, and that's very important, of course. What I also can add is the genus, and I used an app for that. I'm not promoting this one, that's just the one I use, called LeafSnap. It's for Android. You just take a picture of the plant and it tells you what it is. And the Latin genus is this one, Phragmites. I don't know. Doesn't seem to have an English word, or maybe that is English even though it's actually Latin. There is a German word for it because we have words for stuff. And this is what you can use here. Just copy that and add a new line here on the left, genus. And when you only use genus, you have to use the Latin, which is this one, the Phragmites. What you could also do, if you wanted to, is genus Wikidata, and that's this number here, if you wanted to. The app told me that it is Phragmites australis, common reed, but I'm a bit thrown off by the australis, so I'm not going to put the species in, only the genus, just to be on the safe side. And that's all the tags you need, really. So I'm gonna add it to this area here. So this is the field you saw in the introduction. It's not really possible to tell that it is reed growing there. Not with the imagery we have at our disposal. Anyway, reed bed, and I could have just copied all of those and pasted them in here. And I could also add a survey date, because the farmer might decide to drain it and then it's lost. Just to make sure. Just have to remember when I was there. I think it was the 10th. Might have been the 9th of September. Not, the one day doesn't make much of a difference. So then there's more here, and it doesn't come all the way up to the train tracks. Copy all of those. And I mean, if you know for certain this is reed, it's the same color, in the satellite, you can add it to this bit here as well. Maybe it is possible to tell from the satellite imagery. I would prefer to do a proper survey though. It's much safer, especially since the imagery is, 8 years old. Could be very different. Where else did I mark it? This is already marked as wetland. I thought I had seen more. Oh, here. So this is not just interesting for the thatch, but also reed is a very important habitat as well. And so that's also a reason why you could map it if you wanted to. And it is also used, if you're still with me at this point, it is also used for wastewater management. There are reed beds that are planted for that reason, to deal with wastewater. I'm told that the cheese factory in Kilmeaden, I'm not quite sure if it still exists, but Minister Noonan, who actually inspired this video, told me that the cheese plant in Kilmeaden, they planted reed beds. They created reed beds to deal with their wastewater. So that is great. I'll save this now. I'll add a few more and then I'll come back to you and we'll look for all the reed beds that are already mapped like that. So in Overpass Turbo, I've created a query that looks for attached buildings, the rivers, and the reed beds, because there's, I presume, a correlation. And I've tried to highlight it in different colors, so I'm hoping that it'll work. The buildings are going to be brown, the rivers blue, and the reed beds green. And I'll hit run. I'll zoom in a little bit more. Move this over. Like that. Fingers crossed. Well, the rivers didn't work, but this is the river shore. It's already blue anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. There's another river here. I think that's the Wheelenbridge River, and a little stream here. So you can see this is Glen Grant in South Kilkenny. There are a couple of thatched buildings there. And former thatched buildings, those two are actually no longer in existence. This one is completely gone. This is a ruin. But these are still thatched more or less. And then we have reed beds here. And over here. And there are more. That's just the ones where I left notes, because I did want to get to Kilmeaden eventually. So I hope I have convinced you that there is a correlation between thatched buildings and reed growing in the area, which is, it's kind of obvious. But now we have it green on white or something. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and learned a few things maybe. And maybe you're going to go on the Greenway as well. And I would highly recommend it. I think it's nice to go from Waterford to Kilmeaden. It's also nice to go from Dungarvan to Kilmacthomas. In between, I'm not so sure, because I haven't done that. But that's a great way, and I'm told that there might be something happening to the Viking site, a more visitor-friendly experience, because now it's just a field. But I saw a new playground being built here, and I've just marked it as a construction site for now because it wasn't finished, and it has a Viking theme, I think. So thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. And also give the video a like if you liked it, and I shall see you in the next one. Slán!